Hi, this is Kinship 101, Part 4. In this episode, I'm going to focus on the Alford Plea, what it is and how we came to understand what it is and kind of how the events unfolded around that. Briefly in review, in April of 22, my wife and I, the Queen, took safety care custody, which we thought was temporary at the time, of my older brother's 3 young children. Baby girl was 4 months old. The boys were 6 and 8 at the time. My special needs nephew, their older brother, died 20 minutes after he was taken to the hospital of both sepsis and malnutrition. He was covered in bed sores from head to toe, some all the way down to the bone. Suffered immensely. This is not days of suffering. This is most likely weeks of suffering. All we can do is speculate. So what is the Alford Plea? The Alford Plea, basically, it's a plea deal where the defendants can say, we believe you have enough evidence to convict us of this crime. Rather than face the maximum penalty possible, we're going to plead down to some lesser charges and half-assedly agree that we're guilty. I will say that I'm careful to say here that because of the Alford Plea, there was no trial. So most of the details that I have, we have to say is hearsay. My nephew Joshua was 31 years old when he died and roughly 40 pounds from what I understand. The boys are severely traumatized. I'm not going to put, a lot out there about them other than to say that they've been in constant therapy since we got them. And while we have made progress is slow. And there's probably things about their childhood they have been unable to unpack for us yet, but work continues. But they both talk about primarily the trauma of hearing their brother, quote, scream at the top of his lungs day and night. So there's that. My understanding is that the autopsy ruled Joshua's death a homicide, which would have carried a sentence of 10 to 12 years, which would have been ideal. So as things unfolded, talking to the initial caseworker, the intake counselor for Hocking County CPS, the first question she asked me when she sat down at the kitchen table at my house, what's the deal with your mom and your brother? And so I unpacked my mother's history of enablement for the garbage life that my brother has led. And it's important to note also in review that he is a registered offender who caught his charges for molesting his oldest daughter. He and my first cousin had a long relationship together, moved into with each other, bought a house, like an extensive relationship, had 2 children. The first being the girl, and my brother molested her and did 2 years for GSI for that and is a registered offender. The second of the 2 would be my nephew Joshua, the one who passed away, that caused a series of events these episodes are based upon. So, intake counselors, what's the deal with your mom and your brother? They tried to have Josh cremated. Thankfully, they could not do so because my brother's wife was not the natural mother of Joshua. They had to call my cousin in, and that's how she wound up getting involved with this, thankfully. She had no involvement with that boy. Thankfully, the oldest, went and lived with her, and she has her, but she had nothing to do with Joshua. And so we were in because of things, the rift in the family caused my brother and all this mess. And I didn't really talk to that chapter of the family, and getting these children placed in my home opened the door I did actually get the chance to hug my niece and tell her I love her and apologize for the horrific crap my brother did to her. We're not on speaking terms now as a result of the fact that we were talking to my cousin on the phone. This was 2 different cases. The boys and the baby girl were not listed as victims in the crime concerning their older brother's homicide, which is ridiculous to us. It is to note, too, when we talked to Hocking County CPS and asked them in all this, should we get a lawyer? And their response to us was, no, we have lawyers. CRAP. If you get yourself in a situation where kids are being placed with you and you can afford to do so, get your own attorney. Get an attorney. Get representation for yourself. So we weren't allowed to speak into the criminal trial concerning Joshua, which is just ridiculous. So we were talking to my cousin on the phone at the time. She is the one, solely the one, who allowed these two this plea deal. They pled down from homicide to a failure to provide 2 counts, felony counts each, a failure to provide for a special needs individual, which had a 5-year max on it. She allowed that plea. And against, we were like, let it go to court. I have to do what's best for my family. My belief, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, it was self-preservation. She didn't want to go to trial and then be forced to answer questions as far as, why do you care about this boy now when you had nothing to do with him, and basically let your sexual child molesting ex have that boy. If it didn't matter to you then, why does it matter to you now? She didn't want to answer uncomfortable questions. So that's probably why. I can only speculate, but I would think why she allowed that plea deal. So the judge gave them the max, the 5-year max, under for those charges, the failure to provide for a special needs individual, 2 counts each. But the pair filed an appeal, and they won their appeal because the judge did not, in his paperwork, justify the max sentence and prove, while these they're not really generally a menace to society, they're just a menace to their own children. So because he didn't justify it, the pair did 1.5 years in jail. And they're July of 2025, here 6 or 7 months ago, won their appeal and only did 1.5 years basically for this horrific crime of murder, and are walking around now in the world post-release, no post-release control, no probation, as far as we know, no accountability whatsoever. Oh, sorry, sorry we locked you up for this for the whole time we did, which is disgusting. So I say again, get a lawyer, get an attorney. You get in a situation like this, and if you can, find yourself some representation. To do over again, if we could get a do-over, I would have insisted, and I think maybe we could have gotten the documentation to get these kids listed as victims in this crime, so we could have spoke into it and made sure that there was a trial and that these two were in jail as long as they should have been. But here we are. So that's it. That's what the Alford Plea is. That's how it works. And I'm going to leave off here. I appreciate you watching. Subsequent videos, I'm going to get into kind of the, without, what we've experienced with these children and how that indicates the trauma that they've grown up in. It's been rough. Nobody told you they love you. I love you. Thanks for watching.